Ah, yes, the Mortis engine, a unit that created a class all its own, and we have seen several other units which are often called Mortis engines or have Mortis effects, all named after this guy right here, the classic Mortis engine. Today I've got another game for you guys between Setzer and Black Phillip. This time Black Phillip is going with the Vampire Counts against Warrior of Chaos, played of course by Setzer. So just to quickly mention the structure of this tournament, it's like hundreds and hundreds of people broken down into multiple group stages. Like there's something like 50 groups, I don't even know. There's a lot of 70 groups, I don't know. A lot of groups basically. And the group phase is a round robin, so it's a best of two. You play each player for 2 games, and each win is plus 1 point. And obviously the highest points from each group will advance on to the next round. So Black Phillip here, trying to even up the score. Last time we saw Setzer win using the Dwarfs against Black Phillip's Tomb Kings. Today, Black Phillip going straight for the throat. This is often seen as a very tough matchup for Warriors of Chaos, and he's brought the business. We've got a Blood Dragon Vampire Lord plus a Terrorgeist, and the Regiment Renowned Claw of Nagash Mortis engine, which is its special trait is that it has this chilling aura. Slow units minus 36% speed in an AoE around it, as well as having some magic resistance, which is great because it is weak to fire. So that helps against things like, fireballs, Flaming Sword of Ruin, and so on. You can see here these Fell Bats getting sacrificed. Also got some Chill Guys, Dire Pack, a few more bats, zombies, Graveguard with great weapons, the Mortis engine. For the Warriors of Chaos, Archaon's going to be leading a relatively elite force. We've got Chosen with great weapons, regular Chosen, 2 Warriors with great weapons, Knights with lances, and Dragon Ogres, as well as the Mirror Guard. So relatively small force, just a few Marauder Horsemen and Throwing Axes. And the issue with this kind of a force is not a ton of tactical flexibility. You are relying on these elite expensive infantry, which when the Mortis engine sees something like this, it just licks its chops. So from Setzer's perspective, his priority needs to be to defeat that Mortis engine while protecting Archaon from this devastating goon squad here. You can see the Chill Guys move in for a little bit of a flank, kind of keep everything pinned in place with their own chilling aura. A little bit of a Burning Head going to be used there to basically eliminate the Dire Pack, also do some really nice damage to the Chill Guys, and now Flaming Sword of Ruin being used. The Dragon Ogres in particular will just pummel the Chill Guys with that active. But now the Mortis engine gets into combat, and the slow death drain of death, yes, occurs. Because of course the Mortis effect, basically what we mean when we say that, is this right here. Causes damage to combatants. Any kind of area of effect constant causes damage to combatants ability is broadly defined as a Mortis effect in this game by most casters. So that's units like the Plague Priest on the specific mount, on the Plague Cauldron mount. Hellebron with her item has a similar effect. It's got some special conditions. Of course, the Fey Enchantress, probably the best Mortis engine. There's like a Lord, a Hero, and a Unit Mortis engine, and actually Fey Enchantress is the best because she has the best defensive stats. And hers also comes with a minus 9 melee attack debuff, but Archaon taking a pounding here. Setzer leaves him exposed for just a moment, gets zombie summoned on him, and Helm of Discord. He does pop Slayer of Kings. He's up to 823 weapon strength once the poison wears off, but he has taken a lot of damage here. Unfortunately, it was not near the Dragon Ogres or the Knights, so they could screen him out just momentarily, and it did cost him pretty big there. Archaon can, even though he has magic damage, just the fact that he hits so hard, he will defeat this Mortis engine. Right now, it's kind of a race against time, right? Like, the Mortis engine's slowly racking up value. I'm just going to keep my mouse over this damage value here so you can see how it just kind of slowly but surely ticks up value, and not even that slowly, to be honest. Like, very quickly it can start to pay for itself against this kind of big blob of elite infantry. Archaon moves in. He does some really nice damage along with the Dragon Ogres. And the Dragon Ogres, because their mass is actually stopping up the Mortis engine here, they can kind of pin it in place. And Archaon gets some brutal damage in here before he gets finished off. Another really nice Burning Head as well. Just clears out some more of the chaff. Zombies are gone. These Chosen and other units can now rush in and support. But the goon is too much. The Red Goon, not even the Red Duke, but the better version of the Red Duke, in fact. This guy here Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. Probably going to finish Archaon off here, if at least rout him off. Another zombie summon also helps keep more bodies up. The Claw of Nagash is crumbling at this point, but it has its own innate regeneration, of course, plus having all of the other ability to heal from vampire counts, whether that be spells, passive effects, whatever. Crazy healing, so it'll be fine. In fact, it stabilizes its leadership already. And with the mobile units gone, like the horsemen are in the hills, the Dragon Ogres just got routed there, the Blood Dragons now chasing Archaon off. These infantry can only just hope to stand and fight, right? And, well, if this comes and parks directly on the Chosen will do a lot of damage to it. Mortis engines don't have a whole lot of armor, only 40 armor and 18 melee defense. You have a little bit of anti-infantry armor-piercing weapon strength, which you can see these little henchmen here, the little ghostly henchmen, sort of doing their swings. But now is when the value really will start to rack up. It is taking pretty significant damage from the Chosen, but look at that damage value just ticking up and up and up, slowly but surely. There's not really a lot Chosen can do about it. Without Archaon, they are no longer immune to Psychology. The Mirror Guard are immune to Psychology, but they're not going to dish out quite as much damage. Only 30 weapon strength on them. And everyone gets terrified. Or Setzer actually throws in the towel there, which makes sense. I mean, with the Mortis engine just draining out the rest, there's no reason to play that. And it was just about to top 2,000 damage value as well. Probably if they had played that out, it would have maybe got like 2,700 plus damage value potentially. But yeah, the Mortis engine is one of those reasons why vampire counts are good against Warriors of Chaos, because Warriors of Chaos don't have the best tools for shutting it down. That aren't also vulnerable to other things like Terrorgeist Goon Squads. You just kind of bring all of it, and it's hard to do anything really as warriors. I mean, there are potentially some things you could do against something like this, but Archaon gave it his best attempt, so credit to Setzer for walking into a tough matchup and doing pretty decent, all things considered. Other than having Archaon like away from the Dragon Ogres just momentarily, had he been close by them, they would have been able to body block like the Goose and the Vampire Lord. Maybe Archaon can finish off the Mortis engine, and once these infantry are free from the Mortis engine's kind of grasp, they're able to more or less just fight to the death and actually, you know, actually fight rather than just get drained out by fell magic. They would definitely have ground down the rest of this army, I think, over time. And even with aggressive cycle charging, like maybe Archaon eventually does go down, but probably just these two flying monsters against these Chosen, I don't know. It's hard to say. Chosen with great weapons, not the best melee defense. Infantry had a little bit of a hard time. Really only the warriors with great weapons paying for themselves. Dragon Ogres, though, did a great job, and I would almost say from a build perspective to Setzer, you could cut... I'm not the biggest fan of Chaos Knights with Lances in general, especially in this matchup. I would cut them and just bring another unit of Dragon Ogres, because these guys did great. They're great against a lot of units the Vampire Counts can bring. I like them a lot in this matchup. Don't trade great into Blood Knights because they don't have a lot of armor, but... and neither do Chaos Knights with Lances, right? So, yeah, I'd probably just take 2 Dragon Ogres instead, and maybe also just take the Shielded Chosen. Or you could opt for the Halberds as well. The great weapons are pretty good, but, I mean, Graveguard with great weapons aren't that big of a threat to you anyway. I don't know. It's hard to say. But, yeah, the Mortis engine, let's just kind of finish up with this discussion about it. So as I mentioned, there are a few other... there's the, you know, the Fey Enchantress... Plus the Skaven, they actually have another one that's not quite as good. Besides the Plague Priest. The Plague Priest is pretty decent. The Plague Furnace here has this Billowing Death ability that will cause damage. Same thing, it is melee conditional, it should be noted. They have to be in melee to be providing that drain. But that's why sometimes even with, like, you might see a Lord Scroll who actually has the spells, and then a Plague Priest on the cart with literally nothing just to act as a Mortis engine. Also has Frenzy and Discourage, which is pretty nice. The animations too, plus 90 armor, makes this quite a bit tankier in many respects than the Mortis engine. It can also carry a caster. I mean, it'd be kind of like if the Mortis engine could actually carry a Necromancer and summon zombies, which would be very... how much more OP would that be? It's hard to say. Probably all very OP. Anyway. But yeah, the Mortis engine itself, the main downside is that low defensive stats. Low armor, low melee defense, and of course the Vampire Counts have no ranged units, so it is vulnerable to some different things. That being said, you can also bog down ranged units quite easily as a vampire counts, and that is the best way of going about it for sure. Skaven also have this guy, I should say. The Warlock Engineer has this item here. It's not great. It doesn't do as much damage as the Plague Priest, but if you're going to be taking this guy, it might be worth bringing. I mean, it is basically the cost of an extra Skaven Slave Slinger, more or less. Which is pretty expensive for the Skaven, actually. Like, there's an argument that that Slinger could maybe even do more work than this, but it's here, just so that you're aware of it. Yeah, Fey Enchantress for a multitude of reasons. I mean, she's a life caster for one. She doesn't have any summons on her Mortis engine, but she's an actual healer. And her defensive stats are very good, all things considered. Even though it might not seem like it on paper, you're like, oh, she only has 34 melee defense. It's really in the resistances for her, right? Because the Unicorn gives her 60% magic resistance, plus then she gets Blessing of the Lady for 20% physical resistance, as long as she doesn't get her leadership broken. So already you're looking at a 20% damage resistance effectively, plus you can get an extra 15% from Guardian, from a Paladin, which you absolutely should be doing if you're using the Fey Enchantress. Take him on horseback. And that puts you up to effectively 35% damage resistance, right? So in practice, the Fey Enchantress actually ends up being pretty tanky, not to mention, of course, her drain here, the Mist of the Lady. Oh, I guess -5. Earlier, I think I might have said it's -9, but anyway, yeah, -5 melee attack for Mist of the Lady, which is nice. It's an additional effect, pretty decent additional effect, in fact, that a lot of these others don't have. The Mortis engine also does constant healing in an AoE, right? It doesn't have a summoner or a healer, but it is literally just healing passively, which is really nice. And the fact, too, about this particular healing effect is that it's different from, say, the Corpse Cart Unholy Lodestone effect, right? So you can actually stack these two for a +4 HP per second in an AoE. Then you come in, you look at, like, Kemler, perhaps, with his sword, restores 8 hit points per second in an AoE. So already, you know, you overlap Kemler's blade with either of these two, you're fully counteracting Crumbling, and with all three of them together, you're even, you know, +2 above Crumbling, or +1 above Crumbling, I guess. Anyway, that's the Mortis engine for you. It is a game changer in a lot of matchups, and a ubiquitous unit for the vampire counts. It should be in just about all builds, I think. Gorst, it should also be mentioned, his effect is the same. His drain effect is exactly the same. The Reliquary Corruption is literally the same effect, so you can't actually stack regular Mortis engine with Gorst. The effects will not stack because it's the same effect, right? But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. So Black, Phillip, and Setzer both got a point each. We'll be following their group and other groups going forward, so be sure to subscribe for that. Hit the bell, like, and share. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.